every single time that dragon went over
Wow.
the field and she said
My,
Dracarys, I was like,
I
oh,
love the
like nipples hard,
I
like
love the look on
bad.
Jamie's face when he was like, "Can we hold them off?" And then the noise, and he looked,
No.
and I took a picture and I sent it to you. That's my background Facebook.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning: this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones cast.
Well, hello. Welcome back to hashtag Beat It, Behind the Iron Throne. This is episode 163. Holy shit, flaming fucking loot train. Oh my God. This episode was recorded August 6th, 2017. It's going to be one hell of a fiery ride. I'm your host, Chris Gray, and tonight I am joined by a great team of awesome Game of Thrones enthusiasts. We're going to get right into the intros, because holy cow, we have a lot of stuff to talk about in a very short amount of time. We're getting a little bit later start than normal, especially on our live stream at Behind the Iron Throne at facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne, but please bear with us. Welcome, General Jonathan Stomas Starklever from the North. Welcome to the show, pal.
Chris, welcome. What an episode!
Absolutely amazing, and I'd like to welcome our Dovahkiin Train. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So much payoff. So much payoff.
Nice. And the one, the only, the militant marker with the Valyrian steel Gatling gun. Hello, my friend.
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Last things first, man. I have to go ahead and give my MVP, and it is Mira Reed for not putting her foot in Bran's ass.
Right? Absolutely. And let's see here. We have the lovely and talented Mistress of Whispers, Andrea. What's up, girl?
Oh my God. Too much. I'm so excited. This is fantastic. Whoever read my my predictions for this week online on Facebook, I really hope that I made you proud.
You made me proud, Andrea.
Well, thanks.
Absolutely
You
proud.
always do. You always make me proud, Andrea.
Aw, thank
Well,
you.
I'm the only person that didn't see the episode until literally just now, and I was absolutely blown away. I was taking notes during. I usually, what I do in the format is I take notes real quick as I'm watching the show, and I go partially by the notes in the Google Drive, and then partially by my notes that I wrote down. And this format, we usually stay relatively quick and to the point. But in this episode, we're going to be all over the place because of lack of time. However, I got to say that I stopped writing when we got to the loot train.
Yes.
the battle of the loot train.
Mhm.
I couldn't write anymore.
You were unsullied, and the rest of us were sullied.
I was blown away.
We have to confess. We'll confess. It's our shame. I know, and you know what? I don't even care, because I know Yardley, and I know Andrea, and I know that John and myself all watched this episode as a leak multiple times, and I don't even care, because I'm throwing my money at HBO right now. Throwing my money at them. It's that good.
HBO, so
You can keep having my money. I don't care.
Yeah, take it. I think that the beginning was pretty neat. We'll start there. The High Guard and gold and bronze debts not even really being paid, and he wants to get paid. I thought this was a really fun scene. Yardley, what are your thoughts on that?
Hey, I'm sorry, Chris. You broke up, man.
The beginning scene where we have the High Guard and gold being transported, and Bronn, getting a bag full of gold, but not being completely satisfied. How did you feel about that?
You know what? It's just totally Bronn. He's on the side of the money. Very loyal and skilled person to have on your team, but at the end of the day, he's kind of thinking about his lot in life and his legacy, and who can blame him, man?
Yeah, Trin, your thoughts?
Yeah, Bronn, he's always followed the money. He's been kind of a greedy guy. That's how he was introduced to us with Tyrion over in the Vale, and of course, he doesn't fall far from his lane.
Nice. John Stomas.
yeah, he's a sellsword, but we all love him. I just wish he was on the other side of this war. Bron's the best.
Andrea.
I actually really love this scene with Bronn and Jaime, because he said, "I want this castle," and Jaime was like, "You don't want that castle." And he was like, I beg to differ. And then Randall Tarley came over talking about the crops. And he was like, why don't you go with him? And he was like, I'm not fucking good at shoveling fucking shit or something like that. And then Jamie goes, no, but something tells me you will be, like, or something. You'll be good at motivating people. Like, you want to be the king of this fucking castle? Like, learn to work in the field.
That was a good scene. The next scene I found to be pretty interesting as well in King's Landing, where Cersei is smiling, talking to, I think it's Taicho, right, from the Iron Bank. And weren't they
Yes.
talking about the Golden Company? Yardley, your thoughts?
Yes, well, it kind of shows that Cersei is already thinking ahead about how she can expand the Lannister influence over the area. So essentially, she is just trying to have all of her options. Some of them will be sellswords as far as like the Golden Company, and you just have money to fund yourself. So that's her main plan, and I think she's sitting pretty.
Trin.
I noticed something that Cersei said specifically was she has something somewhere that belongs to her that she wants back, that she was hoping the Golden Company could get back for her. I'm going to dive in deep this week and try to maybe pick this apart with Andrea, and we're going to get back to you guys on Wednesday. But if you go back and watch that, there's something that she is missing that belongs to her she wants back, and it's like a big question mark for me. So that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, watch out. Trin's going to dive in deep. John.
Yeah, she's gonna bring the Golden Company. I don't know how useful they'll be. I wonder if it's Sansa she wants back. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, she's on top right now. But she got the gold. I don't trust the Iron Bank. I just got a feeling I don't trust them. They got their gold. I don't trust them.
Andrea.
I think that what she wants back is her territories that she's missing right now. But she was really specific about wanting to get control of the kingdom and all of the people in it. Like, she wants absolutely to control everything. And I was thinking to myself, Cersei, you are walking a fine line. But if she gets the Golden Company up in there, I have a feeling that we might see some second sons. And that would be interesting considering Dario was the way he was left behind. And, yeah, Cersei could fucking have a formidable force, but she did lose a good portion of her men right there on that field. So
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Convincing people to come over and fight against dragons, whether, that bolt landed in Drogon or not, is going to be hard.
Yeah, excellent points. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the podcast, this is because we have a lot of people on the live stream. You can always join us live, facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. And I just want to mention that while we do the show live, we try to look at your comments, but we're not going to be able to really get to them in this episode unless we can slip them in, which we'll do our very best to. But keep all your comments also for Wednesday's show when we do the breakdown bonus episode where we're going to tear into this episode even further. And that'll be a great place for everyone to get their thoughts across. We're going to do that show on this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So make sure you're there because it'll be a lot of fun. Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. Or if you forget, just go to BehindTheIronThrone.com and the links to everything we do are right there. All right, so the next scene that I thought was very nice and also creepy, and it solidifies my thought that this guy is an absolute creeper and has replaced Jojen Reed, and I hate him to death. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Winterfell and so talk about Bran and Mira. We have Arya, Sansa, and the Crypts, and no fucks given. Let's go with Yardley. How did you feel about being back in Winterfell?
I thought that it was pretty cool, but I have to say that between the bookends of the episode, I thought that the Winterfell stuff was probably the weakest. It was good, but as compared to what we got the last 17 minutes and how it was set up in the first 8, I thought that this was probably the weakest segment. However, my favorite part of all of this, even over Arya, Brienne, and all of that stuff, was probably Mira. I came out of that thinking that Mira Reed really did have feelings for him, and she kind of wanted a little bit more of an emotional response to at least acknowledging the sacrifices that were made to save him. And if Bran would have asked her to stay, I believe she would have stayed. I thought it was pretty sad. I was even like, God damn, men ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pro the guys. And I was like, damn, dude, you're giving us a bad name. So that was my highlight, man. And I'll let everybody else talk about the other things.
Poor Mira. She was a mule. Poor mule Mira. That's all she was. She just transported him. And I was really sad about that. What was really funny was when she walked in and she sees him in the wheelchair, and she's like, "Oh, that's a really good idea." Like whoever, what is that you're sitting in? And you could see kind of like inside of her head, she's thinking, "Fuck! Why didn't I think of wheels? Like, I've been dragging this kid around the entire North." But yeah, no, the Mira situation
It was sad.
Well, we'll get into the Littlefinger mind fuck that we got there definitely on Wednesday. God, I can't wait to talk about that. But I just thought Mira definitely. I agree with Yardley. Mira wins for this one.
I felt sad for Mira in that particular scene, because she's like, really nothing. I mean, she was there throughout the whole adventure. Of course, she wasn't in the dreams that he had, but still, I can understand her frustration.
Wait, she wasn't in the dreams, was she?
No, but she was there, while he was having the dreams. Like he was in the same room at the same location.
Well, Chris, really quickly before we move on to the next thing, what does she have a narrative reason to be on the show anymore? You guys think that's it for her?
I don't think so. Not at this point.
I don't think so either. Because I don't think Howland's not coming back.
Actually, I was told that at some point that he was going to be on the show. And I know for a fact that George intended on having them on, having him back in the books. But I do think that their narrative-wise is a reason for Mira to be back on the show, and I think that is the connection between her father and House Stark. But more than anything, she killed a White Walker. She's not just any person. She killed a White Walker. They didn't just have her do that for no reason.
Well, there was another reason to save Bran at the moment, but I'm curious to see what you think about this, John. This particular, you got to be happy with all the Stark reunions happening in Winterfell.
I cried. I cried again. I mean, every time Arya's back there, she's looking at Ned. She's like, "That's not Ned." I mean, and then the hug. I'm like, and then we see the three, when you see the three Stark kids walking, and you see Brienne looking at them. That got to me, man. That got to me in my heart. I was so happy. And I mean, Bran was kind of cold to Mira, like, thank you and everything. I'm like, but he's a cold guy now. So
it's because he's transcended humanity. Go ahead.
Yeah. The one comment I did want to bring up was, Marianne said, "You died in that cave," which is a quote from Mira, which Andrea, we're going to have to break that down a little further, because I know where you want to go with that.
I have so much to say about that.
I know. We'll do it on Wednesday, but yeah.
Oh my God, I have so much
Marianne,
to say
about. You're on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just happy to see Arya show up, and she was so happy to be home, and the look at her, she's looking around, and Sansa seeing her ability as because they haven't seen each other forever, and the whole list got brought up, so seeing all that was absolutely awesome.
She ain't done killing yet, man. I'm telling you, she ain't done killing.
Well, she put a whooping on Brienne, I'm just saying. Let's see, where are we now? Well, we had the two soldiers at the gate. I thought that was kind of a funny exchange. I'm going through my notes here. I was like, even though this was not the most exciting part of the episode, like Yardley said, there was a lot of good stuff here. And I have a lot of stuff for Wednesday's episode. Bran at the Weirwood tree, when he says, "I saw you." And the first thing I wrote down is Creeper. And then he says, "Bran," I know that I'm overreacting, but that's just, me being funny. But Creeper is how I remember that. But I thought it was very interesting how the dagger that was supposed to kill him, that Littlefinger gave him by being a jackass, is now going to Arya, who is our master assassin. But I still wrote Bran, so creepy. Yardley.
You know what? I think the highlight of that scene for me was Sansa asking who else is on her list, because I think that she thought that there was a possibility that she would be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Amen.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Trin?
I didn't actually get that from them, but that's a good point. I'll have to go back and rewatch. I got the impression that they didn't give Bran a lot of liberty to do facial expressions. I think the directors wanted him to keep it very calm and calculated creeper, as you would say. And
He's like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah. And I think that moment when he gave Arya the dagger, there was a little bit of hesitation. And I think we might see some reason for that in the future, because he can see the future as well as the past. So I think that he knows that handing over the dagger to Arya is going to have a huge ripple effect or butterfly effect. And I'd like to see how that pans out.
Buford said he gave her the dagger because he's already seen what Arya's going to do with it. That's why he didn't need it. That's an excellent point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was hesitation.
I'm learning how to see foreshadowing more than ever before, thanks to Andrea. John, what are your thoughts on this particular scene?
You're very welcome, by the way.
You're the best, I'm telling you. You've taught me a lot.
Also, hold on really fast, Trent. You'll be so proud of me. I'm drinking red wine.
Yay!
Nice.
Channel Cersei.
Hold on. Let me go live for you guys.
There you go. I was going to say, we don't see you. John, what are your thoughts on this scene, bud?
I like the scene. He's like, I can't give you. I'm a cripple. I think he's gonna like really start to shed some light on stuff here, including Littlefinger. So it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I like that Arya has it because she's an assassin now, so she now has a Valyrian dagger. So it's gonna be. She's gonna use that, man. She's a badass.
We've had 2 people bring up Gendry, so if you have a drink,
Gendry, which
drink
I can't
twice.
believe we haven't seen him yet.
Oh my God, Andrew's drinking.
I mean, we know he's coming in this season, so definitely twice.
I thought it was. I think okay, John, you're done. We're going to Andrea now. I thought that you would appreciate this when the mention of who owned the dagger came up, and the first thing I thought of was Andrea knows already. So if anyone knows, it's Andrea.
It was Littlefinger. He lied to Bran straight to his face. And I'm here to do what your mother could not. I'm here to take your bitch. Bye. No, he was like, I don't know. Motherfucker, you just told his mother that you did know and that it was yours and that it was Tyrion's, and yet now you don't know, but you've been holding it this whole time because you use it against his father's throat. That's awesome, dude. You're fucked.
And
you know what else is kind of funny, though? Something else that I kind of took for that scene is I think that Bran's comment kind of went beyond Littlefinger. There's more of a history to that dagger than it's going on. So I don't think that he was trying to make Littlefinger admit that he had it prior to him getting it. I think he was literally asking Littlefinger, do you know, the history of this dagger? And we're going to find out more about it. So I think both ways totally work. And I think we can all be right on this, but I totally believe that he was totally speaking beyond Littlefinger's ownership.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'm sorry, John. I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys remember when we first saw that first scene with Sam and he had those books and that dagger was in the books. And I said, this goes back to Aegon the Conqueror, and the only way that Littlefinger had it is if he got it off of Rhaegar. And I've been telling you guys that I think Littlefinger is responsible. And chaos is a ladder.
Priscilla says chaos is a ladder, reminding us of that particular scene where Bran basically says to Littlefinger, I already fucking know you're a liar. I know everything you've ever done, said, or will do, because I am Dr. Manhattan. I am Bran.
He was shook.
Who did he say it to, though?
Varys.
Thank you. I just wanted to point that out. And who was missing at the end? We'll get to that.
Okay, we're going to get to that. We got lots of time to get that on Wednesday, people. Remember that.
And tonight.
The more Starks that show up in Winterfell, the more Littlefinger is fucked.
Yes. Oh, I'm right? Oh, my God.
The more Starks that show up in Winterfell,
are you doing an after show? Your mic's muted. Are you doing an after show?
Sure, if they want me to.
Okay,
yes,
everybody.
definitely need to do an after show.
Probably, yeah.
I love how a Pod said to Brienne, Caitlin will be proud of you. And she's like, thank you, Pod, after she didn't want to be called a lady. That was awesome. And Littlefinger creeping around.
Wait, yes, I am.
Yeah. And what is Littlefinger creeping around? He better get the hell out of Dodge because he's going to be in some trouble.
Sansa.
I saw so much in this. So, you guys, this is an after show thing for me. I have to be mum about it right now. I saw so much.
Let's go to Dragonstone where Dany and Missandei are having a nice conversation as they're walking down to the beach. And there's Jon Snow. Like, I thought that Jon and Dany were going to have a romantic walk on the beach. That's what I thought we were getting at, and didn't realize that we're being led into a cave, a nice, dark, moist cave, where I thought that we were going to have another I love what you did, tongue, Jon Snow. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But there were so many moments in that cave when they were talking that I thought they were going to make out and kiss and start to rip each other's clothes off. And I thought, yay, this is where Fire and Ice are really going to get intertwined. Not to mention we got to see the artwork from the Children of the Forest. And this is the moment that kind of gets Dany to start believing. Yardley, your thoughts?
Artwork from the Children of the Forest. John drew that shit and then went and got Dany. That was too convenient.
Oh, come on.
No.
Trent.
I mean, I'm really being facetious.
Okay.
I mean, but it was okay. I'm glad none of that kissing and all of that stuff happened. More than anything else, I was more disappointed that John's comeback to Dany was, "You need me too." And Dany is totally showing that she is the will. She isn't trying to break the will. Her stubbornness and her not wanting to appear weak is something that's kind of getting played out.
On my notes, I wrote kiss,
Okay.
right? Kiss, didn't happen. Then she says, bend the knee, and I wrote bitch. And then she says, and then she kind of, comes back to earth, and I'm like, okay, maybe she has a point. Those were my notes. So it was kiss, bitch, after bend the knee, and then her little speech, and then, okay, she made a point. Maybe John
See,
needs to put his
I
pride
thought you
down.
were going with like the whole Little Mermaid thing, kiss the girl,
Oh, yeah,
No?
I want to
Okay.
kiss the girl.
No, two things I want to point out about this scene really quick. John and I talked on extensively Friday night after we both watched the leak, and we agreed that the last time Jon Snow was in a cave with a woman, so yeah, all that happened. And something else I wanted to point out was that Dany gave Jon a little piece of his own pie, and I don't mean that in the sexual way. I mean it in the fact that he said, and I wrote it down because I went back and researched it. His Dany's specific words to him was, "Isn't their survival more important than your pride?" Who said that to Mance Rayder a few seasons ago? Oh wait,
Yeah.
Jon Snow did. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. You guys dissect that the way you want, and we'll talk about it again on Wednesday.
Yeah, for sure. Because I thought that was
Also,
kind of...
hey,
Oh.
I thought that was kind of a smack in his face, considering that she's still worried about him bending the knee. So that was, her being kind of a bitch still.
Oh,
Well, and
really?
also-
Because John just said that very exact same sentence
Right.
to Mance Rayder.
Right.
So how is she a bitch for doing it when John did it?
Well,
Because
the last woman that John was in a cave with ended up dying, and as much as I
there you
hate reaching into the books to pull into the TV show, it was very ambiguous of whether or not Jon Snow's arrow was the one that killed Ygritte. So very well, if I want to kind of make a parallel, maybe it's foreshadowing that Jon Snow ends up having to kill Daenerys for something.
Ooh.
No.
They
Well,
gotta have a baby
I don't know.
first.
I'm going to move on here to John, but the whole bitch thing is because she's not the queen. She's not the queen anymore. She was fifth in line, right? Born fifth in line. Am I right, Andrea? So she's, I don't want to hear that she's the queen. I want her to
Well, it would depend on who she's the child of, but
Oh,
she
well, yeah, that's
technically,
true.
if John is legit, she wouldn't be in line at all because
Yes, but we
the
don't know
son-
that yet.
But the son comes before the brother.
Only
all
see
she
what I'm
had to
saying?
do was kiss him. That's it. John, what do you think?
I like the throwbacks to Mance Rayder and Ingrid.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this scene. The Children of the Forest were there in the cave. Me and Andrea talked about what could be in that cave. So, all that dragon glass.
The
was
cave
amazing.
is
Yeah.
The cave is so much. I don't know.
Well, I'm not
Tell
done
me.
yet, but-
Go ahead.
Sorry. Danny has John. John has Danny. These guys, they just need to get married and have a baby because they have each other. John's giving him that like she looked at John on the stairwell and be like, yeah, she's got the Google eyes for John. John has the Google eyes for Danny. These guys just need to get married. And the bending the knee issue, I think that's going to be solved because I think Davos is going to be like, he's a simple man. He's like, why don't you guys just get married? And then there'll be like, that's not a bad idea. I love this scene. It's awesome. They should have done it in the cave. I wanted to see this in the cave. They should have had sex in that cave. It'd been awesome.
Okay, Andrea.
Okay, well, I don't care about all the sex. I think that everything that they showed us in that cave was important. A couple of things. If you were, so say you'd never seen those symbols that the White Walkers kept leaving all over the frickin' North, right? And you were looking at it with fresh eyes, what would you think that you're seeing? Like, because they were clearly written on the wall, what would you think you were looking at?
History of people.
You're looking at
Hieroglyphics.
you're looking at a spiral pattern that looks like a sun with a circle in the middle, and then the outside looks like a galaxy or a nebula, and then you're seeing another circle with a line through it, which looks exactly like Drogo's pyre. So if you're Daenerys and you're looking at that the first time, what are you going to see? The sun and stars, and then you see those hieroglyphs all over the cave underneath the first men. There's a circle with another circle in it. That's the God's eye. Like, everything is related. The story that Doria told Daenerys in the first season. Once there were 2 moons in the sky and one moon traveled too close to the sun and it cracked open and 1,000 dragons poured from it. It's all related, and that's the story that it's telling. That's amazing.
The Iragena story?
No, well, that's not about her, but it was in that story too.
In that same dialogue with the Iragena?
in that scene, yeah.
Definitely excellent points, and I'm sure you can take everyone deeper in the after show. And, of course, on Wednesday's podcast, don't forget to join us live here on Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. Real quick, I want to mention Varys and Tyrion scene when they're waiting outside the cave. Very glum look on their faces. Dany, of course, gets pissed off because, yes, they won Castle Rock, but at a pretty high cost. Dany's very frustrated. She's walking and talking, and she's frustrated. And what I thought was awesome was she turns to Jon and says, "What would you do?" And I think Jon's advice was sound. I think that Jon Snow has a great head on his shoulders, and the more I liked him before, but I'm liking him even more now. And I think he made a great point about not using the dragons to burn down the castles. Otherwise, you're going to be like everybody else that's already been here or come before you. Be different. Yardley, your thoughts?
Well, Dany messed up by first she was reprimanding Tyrion, but he said that you have to stay the course. His idea was to get the Dothraki there with those last couple of ships earlier to form a blockade. If they would have formed a blockade, they could have potentially had seized the food. And then Dany wanting to kind of one-up everybody because she felt like she was losing. She ends up burning the food that would have been acquisitioned had she just listen to Tyrion a little bit longer. Stay the course, stay this course, stay the course. She didn't, so she ended up playing herself even more.
Trin, your thoughts?
I don't know how they would have gotten the food because all the food was on its way back to King's Landing. The gold arrived. So I think that what Dany did was even the playing field as far as the food goes. And she didn't have any food to feed her army. She was complaining about it at one point in this show today. And so she knew that Cersei was taking all the food from the Reach. I'm sure there's other food in other places, but she was basically crippling King's Landing. So that sets them up for a siege for later. So she could still do that. She could still follow along with Tyrion's plan, but, she's going to be a dragon because that's the only thing that's working so far for her.
Rawr! Jon, it's your turn. Be a dragon. Rawr!
I mean, Jon gave great advice because everyone just wants Dany, just go, just take your army and just go right to King's Landing like Stannis would have done. She's trying to conquer it the right way so she gets the love of the people and not just be feared. And it's not working. And I mean, I don't know if the blockade would have worked because Tyrion wanted a blockade with ships or something. I think that's what he said. I have to go back and watch. But the Dothraki are not good at blockading. They're good at unleash their war. They're masters of war. Unleash them. Don't let them blockade. That's you gotta unleash them. And I think I agree with Trin. Like they never had food to begin with, so this levels the playing field.
Just to answer Jon, your question in the chat. Yes, the gold made it back to King's Landing. Let's see here. Andrea, you are next.
I was just writing down what I wanted to say. It was the part that John said to Daenerys about maybe the people just see magic in you, and maybe they believe that you can make miracles happen, and that's why they want to follow you. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't know if like verbatim that's what he said, but it was kind of like he was giving her advice based on something that is true for both of them. Because when he was brought back, they were like, they think you're a god. You know what I mean? And they feel the same way about Daenerys when she walked through the fire. So I really thought I like this parallel where he was telling her, giving her advice based on something that's actually happened to him in his life that applied to her too.
Oh, excellent points. Just a great scene. You're no different than the rest of them. I think John is smart. I love the way John's character has grown. I know we talked about Bran and Pod and Arya and all that, but I want to go back to Brienne real quick, because seeing Brienne getting a good fight out of Arya, I think Arya could take her. Arya is she's like a Jedi. She's like the Westerosian Jedi. I like it. Like all of a sudden, no one taught her how to fight, and now she's amazing. She's a complete badass.
She has really high levels of midichlorian.
Yeah, right? Exactly. You just made my skin crawl. I hate midichlorians. Yardley, please, you first, my friend.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun scene. I think the most that I took out of it was the shit-eating face that Sansa got, as if she's very insecure after seeing that display of ninja-ness from Arya. But I thought it was pretty cool. It was solid, and I definitely have no qualms with that scene.
Trent?
I didn't think that. I got a completely different vibe from Sansa, and that was she tried to nonchalantly exchange gazes with Littlefinger. She was trying to size up Littlefinger at the same time trying to pay attention to what was going on in the yard below her. And one thing that her father said to Jaime Lannister many, many moons ago was, I don't fight in tourneys because I don't want men to know what I can do in real life, basically. And I thought that Sansa was thinking, oh shit, I don't want Littlefinger to know the capabilities of what's on my side. And Arya is obviously her sister, her true-born sister. And as much as it was awkward for them in the beginning, like, they have a connection and a bond, and that love is there. So I don't think that there's I don't think there's any kind of rift between Sansa and Arya. I think that she wholeheartedly loves and relies on Arya, and she just didn't want Littlefinger to see what Arya was capable of.
Oh, he loved creeping. Littlefinger still being there is absorbing everything. And I used to love Littlefinger, but now I don't know. It doesn't feel like Littlefinger. Right now, he just feels like he's another type of creeper without magical powers. He's a creeper without magical powers. He's not Neo. He's a wannabe Neo. Moving right along to John. Sorry, I'm very excited because I didn't get a chance to watch this 4 times. This is the first time I watched it. I'm going to go back and watch it as soon as we get done the show, and I'm going to just enjoy this. It was such a great episode. John, you're up, pal.
Don't worry, Chris. I felt the same way Friday. I mean, I had to go to work after watching that, so you can imagine me working 8 hours and dealing with that shit. Arya's a badass. I've said this before. She beat Brienne. Brienne beat the Hound. Arya may be the best warrior in Westeros. I mean, come on. I mean, and Brienne was trying. Like she kicked her. She was trying, and Arya beat her. Okay, that was awesome, man. Littlefinger's days are numbered. The Starks are getting. I mean, the more Starks come, the more your days are numbered. You're dying at the end of this season. Okay, but I mean, I love it. I mean, Arya is like, I just love it.
Okay, he loves it. I think that I love you, John.
Love you too, Chris.
Andrea.
Even though you're Lannister.
Wait a second.
I'm joking.
Go ahead, Andrea.
I love you, Chris.
I was just writing down, this was my favorite part. Well, Brienne and Arya was fantastic. I'm actually getting to see Arya and her little water dancing and all of those. And she's very agile on her feet. That was very obvious. She had great training, and watching Brienne actually finally spar with somebody who is not just good, but fantastic was really good too, because well, Brienne was kind of getting her ass handed to her. But this was what I thought was interesting. Sansa had her, that look on her face. She was like, who's on her list? She's watching Arya and Brienne. First, there was that comment, you're sworn to both of our daughter, of my mother's daughters, right? And then Littlefinger hears that, and Sansa glances over at Littlefinger like, what the fuck? And then Arya starts fighting Brienne, and she can kind of see the wheels turning in his head. You know what I mean? So what is he planning at this point? And then she's thinking to herself, who the fuck's on Arya's list? Because Bran said this shit to her in the Godswood. Who's on the list? And then she thinks Arya's just joking when she says she's going to kill people. Arya's like, she thinks I'm just joking. Bran is like, and then she's like, Bran has visions. And then Bran says, I thought you'd be going to King's Landing. Arya's like, I did too. He goes, Sansa goes, why would you go to King's Landing? Bran's all, Cersei is one of the names on her list. And then Sansa's like, holy shit, she wasn't kidding. You know what I mean? So now Sansa is wondering who the fuck else is on her list, because she wants revenge against people who wronged her family. And Littlefinger, I think that whole thing with the Ravens is going to pay off with Littlefinger, because he's going to try to use that to his advantage as well.
Oh, excellent point. I missed Armani. I wanted to read your comment real quick because I thought it was funny. We were talking about how good Arya is, and he had said something about Arya. Let's see how good she is when she's being dogpiled by whites.
Yeah.
I thought that was a funny comment. Okay, so moving right along, we're back at Dragonstone. We had the conversation between Jon, Davos, and Missandei, and I like this because Jon and Davos are learning more about Dany, and learning that she's not just some bitch in the cave that wants everyone to bend the knee, that she actually is a great human being that's trying to do the best that she can by the people. She doesn't try to make, she's trying to rescue people, in other words. And the more they learn about her character, the better relationship they're going to have. So I thought that was, even though it seemed a little bit boring at the time, I thought that was important. Yardley, your thoughts on this?
Hey, you guys, am I coming in pretty good? Because I'm getting some breaking up going on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a hum, but not bad.
Okay, give me the tail end of what you said again. Sorry, man.
The question was with Jon and Davos and Missandei, the conversation where they were talking to Missandei, and she said, I'm free to leave whenever I want. She's basically showing, basically educating Jon and Davos on Dany's character.
Well, I don't know. I mean, some of that rings hollow. Jon asked her if she wanted to leave, would Dany let her? And she's like, yes, she would give me her blessing and let me go. Now, mind you, this is coming after Dany took Jon's boat, was on the fence about him being a prisoner or not. So essentially he's saying, did you not hear what the fuck she said to me in there? And you're thinking that she'll just let you leave? So I think that there was a little bit more to him being skeptical. And I think rightfully so, because she's not necessarily practicing what Missandei says that she's preaching when it comes to him.
Excellent point. Trin, your thoughts?
I agree with Yardley on that, because from Jon's perspective, that's really rough. And Missandei has a very, very different perspective. She's seen Dany overthrow governments that contributed to slavery. So she's got a very different perspective, and she's trying to relay that. And it's really cute that Davos, Andrea pointed this out last episode, that Davos was trying to be charming to Missandei and all this stuff. And he says, forgive me if I switch sides. And I thought that was adorable because he's cool. Like completely enamored with Missandei. But he does make a good point that Dany has proven that she is a leader worthy of following voluntarily. It's not, her people aren't there because they are forced to. They're there voluntarily.
Jon.
I agree with you, Trin. I mean, Davos is the best. He's so simple. He's awesome. Like, no marriage. I mean, like that. He just smiled. I mean, like, I love how Jon doesn't care whether he be called king or grace or whatever. He just like whatever. And man, like people follow Dany because they want to follow her, and that's gonna come back. Like, that's gonna come back to play, because I mean, the army that willingly wants to follow you because they believe in you will always win out against the army that's out of fear of what if you don't fight. So I mean, and she's got a lot of believers, man. So I mean, I love this scene.
Okay, awesome, Andrea. You're muted,
Andrea.
Good. Um, first of all, for the fans, I know this is something that everyone's been asking. Did anybody catch when Davos and John were walking down the stairs and John said, "How many men do we have? 10,000 less?" And Davos goes, "Fewer." He was channeling some Stannis, grammar
Yes,
Nazi.
Stannis. Yes, because he did the same thing.
Yeah, he goes, "Fewer." So anyways, actually I really did like this between Miss Andy and John, and John, it was a good lesson to learn. But I want to also point out that, say Daenerys and Miss Andy and everyone was standing in the north and they were talking to John's people. Don't you think that John's people will be saying the same thing? You know what I mean? They're both exactly the same to the people who they represent. And so Daenerys basically feeling like her claim is better and her right is better based on her people is wrong, because John's people count too.
Oh, excellent points. Next we have Theon plus Jon Snow equals wow, holy shit. I thought Theon was dying right there on the beach when Jon's standing there just staring at him, not saying a word. I'm like, oh boy, oh, this is going to get bloody. Here it comes, here it comes. And again, I'm left disappointed that he didn't at least punch him in the face. But we got confirmation now that Theon is left alive because Jon knows what happened between Sansa and Theon, Theon rescuing Sansa. My name is Reek. Reek, it rhymes with sneak. Yardley, your thoughts?
The roller coaster ride that Dan and Dave are taking us with Theon is just confirming to me that he has a bigger part to play. And I have a feeling a little bit more than I've had in the past that I think that Theon is going to be one of the guys to make it close to the end.
Excellent point. Trin?
Yeah, I agree. I think Theon will be one of the people. And I might be stealing Andrea's thunder here because I know her and I have talked about this, or we've talked about this in group discussions before, and I don't see it in the show notes. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. But Yara is Theon's sister, and Sansa is, well, what he believes Jon's sister. And because Theon saved Sansa, maybe Jon will return the favor and save Yara. Who knows? That might be where this whole scene comes into play.
All right, excellent. John?
I agree with both of you. I think Theon does have a big part. I think Theon's going to kill Euron Greyjoy. I'm throwing it out there. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling Theon's going to kill Euron.
He better grow a bigger pair of balls, or because
he has no balls. Come on.
Those are not regenerative.
No, he has balls,
He's not
doesn't
a starfish.
He just doesn't.
That was too soon. Too
He's a
soon.
starfish. He's not a starfish. Does he have his twigs, or is it just the sausage that was taken?
I think they take the stones and
whole
the
thing?
pillar.
I was going to say, I think it's the pillar and the stones.
Okay. Wow. Yikes. Ouch. Andre, your turn. Your turn.
Oh my God. I was expecting a lot more intensity for Jon and Theon, but also I'm glad that Jon was actually able to step back and be like, well, you did save my sister's life. So, but you could see Theon in that moment kind of returning back to Reek again. He felt like he was in the presence of somebody who was more dominant than him. And Jon let him go. And then there was a dialogue between Davos and them. All I can think of though is the look on Theon's face when Jon said the queen is gone. He was like, what? Like, what did you do with her? But I do think that there's more to come for this, because the promo trailers from the very beginning had a picture of Theon like being washed up on the beach with, people in a boat, and is like kissing the ground basically. So there's something else coming, and I think there's a good opportunity that we may get another, altercation between Theon and Euron at some point in the season. I'm hoping.
John, you wanted to say something?
Didn't we see in the set pictures last season, we did it where Euron fights Theon on the beach with like a men in a circle?
Well, yes, there was that, but I'm actually I wasn't going to bring that up because we don't know if that was a scene that was filmed for no reason or not. So,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, moving right along, we're going to go to the Lannister army, the, what are they calling this now? The loot train battle? Is that what we're calling it?
They should really call it Field of Fire 2.0 because
That's
what
exactly
it was.
what they should call
Yeah.
it.
All I can
Yeah.
say is this was a complete mindfuck for me. I mean, I literally have 4 pages, and I'm holding it up to the live camera of, which you can't read my handwriting because it's so bad. Just that scene alone. I think it started at 19 minutes, at least on my timer, and went all the way to the end. It was absolutely epic. I'm going to steal some of John's language here. It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
epic. It was amazing. It was beautiful. Epic,
Holy
epic,
shit.
epic.
Chris, wait until you watch it 8 more times. Like
Yeah.
we
Well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to
wait,
watch it
wait,
again
wait,
because I literally wrote on here the Bran comment to well, we got to see Bronn rather, and I love seeing Bronn. I was just praying to God. I'm like, please God, please Lord, don't let Bronn die. And then the Dick on, and he starts laughing at him. I thought that was hilarious. I literally started laughing and almost pissed my pants and had to run into
Yes.
the bathroom. That was funny. And then of
Yes.
course the ambush was awesome. The Dothraki, oh my God, my heart was racing the whole time. My heart was literally beating. I could feel it beating through my chest. And then all of a sudden I heard Drogon making the roar. And oh my God, I'm just like, what?
your nipples got hard, right? Mine did.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I will share that. You're sharing your nipples. I'm going to share mine. They got hard.
Okay.
We're beat-tit people,
I'm just
so
saying,
we're going to
like,
show
the
our beat-tit nipples.
goosebumps went
Yeah,
everywhere.
all over.
Everywhere.
I was
the
so
entire
jacked
body.
for this, man.
You had Dothraki
Whoa.
standing on the back of horses. You had dragons that can take arrow shots to the chest, and they just bounce right off like schmog. Absolutely awesome. Yardley, what are your thoughts, bud?
This is why you use your money on dragons instead of lame-ass dire wolves. This is totally the reason why they cut back on a lot of things so that we can get great action sequences like this. And my highlight was, I don't know if my nipples got hard, but I tell you what, when it was looking like Daenerys Targaryen was about to get skewered, I know I had a smile that went from wall to wall. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I have to say that I kind of admire Jaime for being willing to take one for the team to help his sister win the war. He was actually selfless in that situation, and good for him, man.
I like that you say that. Oh, yes, I like that. Trin, you're up.
I really, really liked, and if anybody's going to go back and watch this for a second or third or more time, like how much time they spent on Bronn's POV in this battle, because you're seeing it almost like from the ground up, looking at Bronn, and as he's like trying to traverse this crazy fire battlefield, going to he's got this objective and he's got to get there, and that was really cool. It was very first person shooter sort of game. And I have to say that all the Dany haters out there, I just want to point out that she is a warrior in her own right, because a giant bolt from the Scorpion zoomed right past her, and she kept flying as fierce and tough as ever, and she rode on. So she's never rode Drogon or any dragon in battle before. She's like flown away from a battle, but she's never like actually been in a battle with a dragon. So I thought this is her first like time really getting her feet wet with battle, and I was proud of her.
Getting her feet wet, and I got wet as well. We're going to go to John in just a moment, but I have to say that when I watched the dragon fly over the Lannister army, breathing fire, and what I loved about it was they instantly turned to ash for the most part. They were like just turned in ash. Dragon fire, the hottest thing in the world. Fire made flesh with just magical creatures. John, this had to give you goosebumps as well.
Oh my God, I love it. Like, first off, Bronn's like, wait a minute. He hears, and then he's like, he hears it before anyone. No one else hears it. He hears it. And then they're in formation. Then you just hear, you hear this. And then even before Drogon, when Jaime is talking to Bronn and Bronn's telling him to leave, they showed an image of 2 Lannister soldiers. They are fucking shivering to death. They're like, we're fucking dead. And this is before Drogon. And then Jaime's look, the look on Jaime's face when he's like, can we hold him off? And then you hear the dragon, and then he fucking goes over the Dothraki, and I'm like, oh, you guys are fucked. I was like, oh. And then he says, burn, guys. You got Dothraki who jump. One guy stands on his horse, jumps over the infantry, starts slicing guys up. The guys are fucking shooting archers and killing Lannisters. Like the accuracy of standing on a horse, shooting archers, and killing Lannister soldiers was awesome. I love this scene. Oh my god, everything about this was so amazing. Dany won because now you can't send an army against her. She's gonna just, I mean, one dragon's worth like 100,000 soldiers. Okay, probably more. Okay, I loved it, man. And the way she commanded, like she was like the arrows come in, she maneuvered it to hit the chest, and like, I mean, I knew that weapon was gonna work because I mean, I can go on about that, but I won't. I mean, and then Jaime seeing his army literally disintegrate, and then he's like, I fucking lost. Like he knew he lost, and he's like, I'm gonna go. I'll give him credit. He rode in. I mean, and I just thought, Yarly said he had a big smile because he thought Daenerys was gonna say. I was on my feet, being like, "Come on, Jorah, burn this motherfucker!" I was like, "Burn this motherfucker!" I'm like, "Oh!" And then Bronn saved in the last minute. So I was like, "Oh, I just love this scene so much." And I just have to say, and I'm sorry for going so long, the Thraki are the most feared army in Westeros. Okay, they are masters of war, bred to do one thing, and that's fight wars. And they lived up to 6 years of me waiting to see them fight, and they didn't disappoint me.
The most feared army in Westeros is going to be the Army of the Dead.
Outside of the Night's King,
Cavalry.
Outside of Night's King.
Fair enough.
They're an army. Technically. The cavalry are the same thing. Like, they're same.
Okay, Andre, I believe it's your turn, my dear.
There's just so much with this scene. First of all, I did say this is a literal callback to history between the very first Field of Fire and this one. However, I will say that Daenerys made a huge mistake when she was going towards that scorpion. She should have flown high, like Aegon the Conqueror did when he freaking came in and he hit Harrenhal and melted the towers. Had she gone up that high and came down on top of Bronn would have been toast, and so would that scorpion. That bolt would have never hit him. But overall, it was fantastic. I mean, just minute after minute after minute of just watching her like slaughter them. The people just incinerate within seconds. And then that final charge with Jaime at the end and Tyrion's reaction, run, you fucking idiot, run. And then Daenerys's Dothraki, your people can't fight. I mean, it was amazing. And then that very last charge and then Bronn saving him. You knew there was a little bit of a setup because when he jumped off the scorpion, the first thing he did was look up and there was that white horse. So you knew there was a little bit of setup there, but there was just so much. It was Bronn who saved Jaime and they knocked him in the water, but Jaime's armor is what carried him down to the very bottom. I think that he's not a goner and next week is going to be fantastic.
Do you think he gets captured?
Well, I don't think that he is.
We don't know.
Like,
we'll have to wait till the next episode.
Because the reason I say that, and I'll get to you, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, guys. Tyrion being there, I think, is the reason I think Jaime gets captured because it's going to set up a natural reunion. Because why would Tyrion go there? He could just stay at Dragonstone. So I kind of see a reunion happening.
That makes sense, but I think it's also a matter of her schooling him as to what should happen. You know, like, hey, this is how it's done, Tyrion. Okay, Trin had a comment to read.
Oh, Cameron said stop the spoiler leaks. Cameron, just to let you know, we're broadcasting this live, and on the East Coast of the United States, it has already aired. So, like, spoilers are out the window as of right now.
I think he's talking about the episode from Friday when they leaked. I think he's talking about our Thursday. I think he's talking about Friday when it leaked.
Well, we're watching the same thing.
Also, they did say the scorpion, not one of the scorpions. So I think that Qyburn had only made one at that point.
I think because he said Qyburn scorpion.
Yeah, I think Cameron is referring to. He's saying, please stop the leaks from coming out before the episode comes out. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna complain about the leaks because I'm gonna watch them whenever they air. I'm still gonna pay HBO for their content. So if they want to give it to me early, I'll watch it whenever they hand it out.
Yes, I will not be checking out the leaks personally because I want to be here as soon as the episode comes out so you get my absolute raw opinion. Because otherwise,
Chris is unsullied.
I want to be unsullied. Otherwise, I'll have all kinds of notes. I'll be all kinds of clusterfucked.
Cameron said thank you. That you said exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Cameron. So what I did want to say was, in regards to Dany flying higher, How do I say this without giving away too much? I have been in helicopters which have very high altitudes, and I've been in aircraft which have at very high altitudes, and I don't know if George R.R. Martin's world works the same way, but as far as atmosphere and altitude, if you get to 10,000 feet above sea level, you start to have a problem breathing. And there's probably a really small percentage of human beings on the earth that know this. But when I saw Danny up really, really high, I was like, she can't go much higher because she's not going to be able to breathe because she's a human.
Not to
Right.
mention the
And
dive
except
bomb,
for-
right? The dive bomb, because the air is rushing so fast,
Yeah.
you can't
Yes.
breathe.
And it's almost the same thing as
Yeah.
having the bends when you go diving in the water. If anybody
Yeah.
knows what like
Yeah.
scuba diving bends are, you're gonna get that same sort of like nitrogen sort of exploding out of your cells kind of thing. And so I was like, they got to be a little more realistic with this. I get the
So-
special effects and this is a different world and stuff like that. But go ahead, Andrea.
No, but so the thing is that all of that would be perfectly sounded, information if that's how George was writing. But he did write it to where they could ride their dragons as high as they wanted to. You know what I mean? Till they were just a
Right.
speck in the sky. I mean, that's how he wrote it. That's his history. However, Daenerys being on the back of Drogon without a saddle on or any kind of harness in general, it just defies logic. So
Yeah, because those spiky things
Yes.
riding up in her, where? Ouch.
Hey, I've got one thing to say. I'm just
got-
going to throw this out here.
ahead,
Is
bud.
that when we were talking about the scorpions, I believe that there are more scorpions mainly because what logic would it make for the only scorpion that you have to not be in the front where the gold is? I think that the gold and the other scorpions are already safely in King's Landing. I just think, just tactically, it doesn't make sense to have just one and to have it at the rear with absolutely no support.
Those are excellent points. Now we're going to end the episode now.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure,
Sorry.
John.
To your point about flying higher, she doesn't even have to fly higher. She just has to go over top of it because that thing can't shoot straight up. So if she goes over top of that scorpion, that weapon becomes useless. Second thing is, even if there is more, Danny now knows about the scorpion. That shit's not going to work a second time. And if dragons are smart, I don't know how dragons work. If they're smart, they're going to recognize it because he destroyed that weapon.
They know that they're effective against dragons too. It goes both ways, John. It's not a
Hold on, I'm
one-sided
not done.
thing.
He also destroyed that weapon too, if you notice, after when he landed. So he
Yeah,
already
with the tail.
with the tail. So he already knows that's a dangerous weapon. I don't think that's going to work. And I think it's also bad writing if you're going to say, oh, we made a weapon. You tell the audience, okay, we made a weapon that's going to kill dragons. It doesn't work. It got destroyed. Oh, we're just going to make more. We're just going to have more. I just think that's bad story writing on D&D. That was their trump card. Like, Danny's trump card was having all...
It worked.
Hold on, I'm not
Sort
done
of.
yet.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
I just don't think that will work a second time.
I don't think
because
it was the
Danny
trump card.
guys,
I
after
don't-
show after the after show.
Sorry.
I think it was just showing the mortality of the dragons. I don't think it was the trump card, and I
Okay,
don't
but-
think that they'll use that. I don't think they'll use a scorpion again successfully.
too.
But I think it was showing the mortality of the dragons.
Don't forget
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
Don't forget this. It hit Drogon. It wounded him a little bit over to the right. It would have maybe it would have hit his heart, and we'd be having a different conversation right now. The other thing worth noting is that they spent a whole 30 seconds in the dungeons with Cersei and Qyburn looking at a scorpion. So to only use it one time and have it fail is ridiculous. That's like saying the Wright brothers only took the plane out one time and it failed, and they never tried to fly again. I'm sorry, they didn't introduce this weapon to not use it again. I mean, the dragons cannot be, immortal. They have to have some risk. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are we watching?
Exactly.
But I think-
Danny's using a cheat code, and that shit's going to end soon.
Yeah.
But I think the dragons are going to be. I think what the dragons are. We're going to see the dragons really start to be this. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they're saving the three dragons for the war with the Dawn and the Night's King. That's why I didn't believe that a
agree.
scorpion was going to kill a dragon, because if you're building up this Night's King as being the most threat, have three dragons, turn one dragon into the ice dragon. I think that's why I think a dragon will die, but I think it will die fighting the Night's King. I don't think I don't think it will die with
Those are
with the conquering.
Those are very good points. We'll talk more about that in another episode. However, I got to say this before we do our last sword review. Imagine if one of the dragons dies this season, then you only have one dragon to turn into an ice dragon. That would be one dragon versus one dragon, the army of the dead versus the army of the living. Nice and even. It'll be crazy.
Exactly.
It'll be a complete fucking mess.
It's going to balance out, Chris. That's what we've been saying. It's going to be balanced when all the shit goes down.
So let's do our sword rating here at the B-Tit. We review with swords, not with stars, because of course it's Game of Thrones. I mean, why would you use stars? We're going to start with the one, the only, the militant marker. Your final thoughts, your sword rating, and where people can get a hold of you, sir.
My final thoughts. It was a solid episode. I'm going to whip out my first 5 of the season. I was pretty satisfied with it. And you can follow me on Twitter at militant_marker. See you Wednesday.
Excellent. Trin, you're up.
Yes. I've said this before, and I wasn't going to give a 5 until Danny and John hooked up. But for being the shortest episode of the season, this did not disappoint whatsoever, and I am going to give this a 5. 5 out of 5. This is really hard for me because I have my standards set very high. But the blood pressure was just high for 2 days after watching this. So 5 swords out of 5, and you guys can follow me at Dovahkiin Trin.
Awesome. John, my friend, you're up.
I am going to go with 5 burnt Lannister swords out of 5. Or actually, you know what? What's that weapon that the Thraki wield? Does anyone know what that's called?
Arak?
Is it a scythe?
Arak?
I'm going to give it 5 Araks out of 5 because the Lannister swords just are burnt disintegrate. So I'm going to say 5 Araks out of 5. This episode was amazing. So much and so little. It blew by really fast. I mean, it blew by really fast. And I just think more. I think I can't wait for next 3 episodes. So 5 Araks out of 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Arak, not Uric.
Well, I can't do an episode without messing up some
That's
word.
true. You are our very own Ductarian. We love you.
Fair enough.
The king of the Cracker Jack army. Andrea, you're next.
This is my first 5. 5 swords,
Wow.
dude. 54 minutes of pure amazingness, like from start to finish. Everything that you possibly could have needed, you got. All the feels, all of the, oh my gosh, Jon just flirted with Daenerys. Daenerys flirted with Jon. Daenerys is killing bitches on her dragon. Oh my God, they hit Drogon. It was perfect. Everything was amazing. This was the best spent 54 minutes of Game of Thrones history.
Wow. That's saying something. That's impressive. All right, I'm going to tell you my sword rating. We're going to read some of our thronies here in the live chat. I give it a 4.5. I loved everything about this episode. The battle was phenomenal, even though it was Lannisters that were dying. I thought, it was just an incredible episode. You'll get more of my opinion if I can squeeze it in the next episode. I just want to mention that you can catch us live each and every single Sunday right after the show premieres. Right here at Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. Trin, I think that you have some of our fans, the hashtag BTidians, in the chat room.
So many.
That would want to give us their ratings. Go ahead.
Yes. Christina said 4.5. Duncan says 5 swords. This was perfect in my opinion. Buford, 100% 5 easily. John Serbeck, 5 dragons. Marianne, 5 swords. Ryan, 5. I was like a kid in a candy shop. Joette, 5. Cameron Doe, 5 swords and a dagger. Brad, 5 swords. Renee, 4.5 swords. Great battle. Dragons reunion. Tension between John and Danny. Loved it. Kirk, 5 swords. And Ginger, 5. Best yet. Jeremy, 4.9. Needed the kiss. Oh. And Byron, 5 swords easily. You guys are great.
Absolutely awesome. I want to do a big shout out to Joette. She contacted me in Facebook Messenger along with a lot of other thronies, but we had a very nice conversation, and she might have talked me into getting my company logo tattooed on my arm, the Teener T logo. We'll see. Possibly. It would just look bitchin' Camaro. All right. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. It's been a great.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Read another one.
Cameron said, no, I said 4 swords and a dagger.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's clever. I want to thank everyone joining us live at Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. You can check out everything we do here at BehindTheIronThrone.com. We love you guys so much. You're an amazing, amazing community. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Wednesday's episode at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. This Wednesday coming up, we'll be doing the bonus episode for the Game of Thrones. Was this called Game of Thrones 64? Was that the title of this episode? Because that's what it showed up on my
It's the
thing.
Spoils of War.
Oh, okay. Because
The actual name of the episode was the Spoils of War.
Oh, okay. Because for me, it showed up as Game of Thrones 64. It was weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some people.
mine too.
Some people didn't get the title right away.
Oh, that's weird.
Yep.
All right, remember, the Game of Thrones BTIT podcast is brought to you by Total Nerd Takeover Studios. We are taking over the world one nerd at a time. TNRT.com. We'll see you guys next week. Or no, we'll see you guys this week on Wednesday. Woo! Go! Yeah! Woo!
Woo!
I like my Lannisters well done and extra crispy.
It's like that battle dragon music, and it was like da 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 da, and you're just like, oh!